What's up, everyone? Andy and Nathan from WagerTalk.com. We are going over UFC Fight Night. Holm versus Mayra Bueno Silva. First, real quick, Nathan, before we jump right into the fight, quick question from the last event. Who had a worse night? Nico Price or the judge that gave Brandon Moreno rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5?
Oh, my Lord.
Worst performance of the night. Who was it? I'm going with the judge.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. A close second would be Nico, though. Close second would be Nico. At least, the retirement, he went out in a good note.
At least he got hit. At least Nico Price got hit. The judge was just like, I'm just going to give 4 random rounds to Brandon Moreno without actually watching at the fight or watching any of the action. And I'm certainly not going to look at any criteria of what determines who wins a round. So, yes, we give it to the judge who gave it to Brandon Moreno. All right, let's just get right into UFC Fight Night. Holm Silva. All of our official plays can be found on wagertalk.com. I know we have a big break in a lot of sports, but we still do Canadian football. We have the break in baseball, but we still have lacrosse. We still have golf. We still have MMA. So all of those are on wagertalk.com. All right, let us get right into it here. Looks like first fight we're going to go over is Ashlee Evans Smith and Ailin Perez. Nathan, I love me some Ailin Perez. I can't help it. It's something about one of the profile pics.
I do not know why, but yeah, no, this fight is going to be fantastic. Speaking of fans, both of them have fan pages, whether it's in OnlyFans or Fan Time. Ashlee Evans Smith has the Fan Time page, and of course, Ailin Perez has the OnlyFans page. So it's very interesting. Seems like both ladies are a little preoccupied with other, I guess, events in their life, especially Ashlee Evans Smith, coming from a podcast. She's also a commentator. She's a host for, I can't remember the name of the fighting league. It's like not Rise. But anyway, making her not debut, but it's been 2 years removed since her last fight, which was 2 years removed from her fight before that. So in the last 4 years, she's just had 2 fights. The last one against Norma Dumont, she looked slow. I guess she came into that injured, which makes sense because it was a pretty lackluster performance. Then you got Ailin Perez, who came in on short notice, up a weight class. This is the first time she's actually fighting at her natural weight. And I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, they're both wrestler grapplers. You got one that has the myriad of experience, but hasn't fought in so long. So you would hope that there's been some sort of improvements, but maybe she's just looking to get her name out there to get some extra subscribers. And then you've got Ailin, who actually looks like she's been putting in some work on her Instagram and all that. So for me, I'm going to just say, pretty much pass. I like the experience of Ashlee Evans Smith. If she is fully recovered and comes in with her wrestling game plan as well as her ground and pound, I think it's going to be a little more than maybe Ailin Perez can handle. We saw that in her last fight. I know, even though she was up weight class, I mean, for Edgar to do what she did to her, getting the sweeps, getting the, even after she got the turnaround to get reversed as easily as she did, I can see the same thing happening with Ashlee. So she is an underdog. It's women's MMA. Maybe take the stab that way.
Let's see. Nathan, you froze just a little bit, but I think I still got you. I have a little bit more of a stronger opinion on this. I really like Ailin Perez. I think Ashlee Evans Smith is a bit of a mess. I mean, it wasn't just an injury. It was a spine issue. Not back muscles, but an actual spine issue before the Norma Dumont fight. And then after, she also failed a drug test. First fight back after all of this. And we know it's about Stephanie Egger. Does she decide that she wants to fight or not fight? Like, is she going to put on a good performance or bad performance? Well, she decided she was going to put on a good performance against Ailin Perez. Perez was too small to be fighting that. It was short notice. I don't like the layoff. I don't think Ashlee Evans Smith head is in the game here. I like the pressure that Ailin Perez puts on. She's very active. She's constantly moving. I think Perez, the time off, I have serious cardio issues. I have serious, ring rust issues.
Mm-hmm.
I think the price is moving in the right direction as to who should be the favorite. I don't know if I'm ready to bet it yet, but I think Ailin Perez ends up taking this one. Saw Ashlee Smith doing this very holistic yoga on her Instagram page. There was just
There's a
vibes
lot
about,
on her Instagram page, you know?
yeah, there's just vibes that she's not really totally into this. I'm not ready to buy that, 2.5 or 3 year layoff of someone that's what, 6-5, who's, she's fought what, 8 times since 2014. So I like active fighters. I think Ailin Perez, even though we do have the fade the only fans, it kind of cancels each other's out
Yeah,
with
they
these two.
both.
Yeah. So I like Perez. Nathan, since you're kind of you're not real sold on this, I think it's going to be a pass for us as an official play. But I do like Ailin Perez. That being said, I'm an Ailin Perez fan, not a subscriber, a fan. So
There's a
maybe I might be a little bit biased towards her, but I do think this is one that starts round 2. If we want to build a round 2 parlay, this one
I
I
would
think
have
is
to
a
agree.
strong candidate.
100%. Yeah.
In that one. Up next, Carl Deaton versus Alex Munoz. And listen, casual UFC fans are not going to know hardly any of these people. So we'll try and break down some of these. I'll go first. Nathan, I just think Carl Deaton is not UFC caliber. I do not think he's a very good fighter. He was a very, very short notice in his last fight. He looked terrible. Joe Selecki just took him down. And I think Selecki, if he really wanted to, could have finished him in the first round. He was patient, gets the finish in the second. And Alex Munoz, listen, he's got kind of a long story. I ended up going down a rabbit hole on Alex Munoz. Long layoff, but it was due to a torn ACL. He told the story about how he tore his ACL before. He came back way too soon, lost fights, and injured it. And then of all people, Sean Shelby, one of the number one matchmakers for UFC, told him, don't come back. Wait, get healthy. So Munoz talked about, like, I did wait. I've studied the sport like I've never studied it before. He went on like a bodybuilder workout regime, said that his body has never felt better. He had his best camp ever. And the guy that was interviewing asked a great question. It was like, you worried about coming back on this knee? It's not battle tested. And he was like, no, it is battle tested. We ran we ran fights. We ran real things. So I think he comes in. He's shown in the past that he can take people down, and Carl Deaton has shown absolutely no defense whatsoever. I think if Munoz performs even remotely close as to how good he says that he feels right now, I think he takes this fight. I've been wanting to fade Carl Deaton. I believe we faded Carl Deaton last time. This is just one of those guys where it's just fade. If you get a guy that's even remotely has a pulse of a UFC fighter, you just take him. And I think Carl Deaton is a way that we can make money by fading him. I think this might be my favorite play on the card, Alex Munoz.
I am in agreement 100%. I think that if you guys are out there, now's the time to do it because the value is absolutely insane, in my opinion. I really, really like Alex Munoz in this fight. Deaton is not UFC ready. He shows so many, I guess, mistakes when it comes to the grappling game, grappling defense, cage wrestling, his ability to get back up once he's on his back. I mean, he's a good hammer against the competition that he's had in the past. He's got a good left hook, power left hook, good ground and pound. But that, to be honest, it's about all she wrote. And then Alex Munoz is going to have a 2-inch height advantage, 5-inch reach advantage. He is the wrestling coach for Alpha Male. I mean, kudos to you in doing the deep dive and actually getting some really solid information. I've loved his previous fights. I know that he, his debut against Nazareth didn't go his way, but he looked good against, Penna, same sort of situation. I know he's a little older, but he's going to be the same age as Deaton in this fight. And just, his ability to wrestle, he's got good power in his hands. He's got a relentless pace, can go all 3 rounds, drives hard for the submission. When he gets his opponents back, he rains down the heavy blows to open him up for the submission. Then I think that's how it ends. So I'm all about the Munoz train against Deaton on this card. And I think it's probably right now it's the best value that you can get when it comes to the betting odds.
All right, so we're both in agreement. We like Alex Munoz. Moving on to the next fight, Tyson Nam versus the undefeated 16-0, making his UFC debut, Azat Maksum. Tyson Am getting up there in age. Maybe
39.
maybe a couple sprinkles about the R word. Oh no, do we have an R word? You seem to have a much more strong opinion about this fight than I do, so I'll let you go first. What do you make of this fight?
I really like, I like Azat. Here's the deal. I mean, Tyson Am has the wealth of knowledge, the wealth of experience, has fought the who's who within the UFC, but he is 39 years old. Uh, and he still has the power, right? I mean, he's going to have that power in his hand to put people down. The only problem being is that he's pretty low volume because of his age, because he's slowed down, that he just looks to react and looks to catch. Azat, he's the 28-year-old, 16-0 Octagon champion, flyweight champion, has wrestled, I think, also at Fury FC or fought in Fury FC against Ailin Gabriel, which is a fantastic fight. Most of his fights haven't gone out of the first round. The ones that do, he does show patience. He's very good moving in and out, good solid power in his hands. And as soon as he cracks an opponent, I mean, he just attacks the back, like goes for the grappling, goes to the submission, solid ground and pound to open up the submissions, is good submission defense on top of that. I just think it's this next level of these what was his name?
Nurse Sultan.
Yes, Narsultan from 2 weeks ago that came in and did the exact same thing. And we were questioning like his level of competition and all this stuff. But I like the fact that he has fought outside of just the octagon. So it's not something where they're just, feeding him cans and trying to get up his number. He has fought a level of, competition, regionally. And I just think that outside of Nam, catching him, out of the blue. Nam does. Here's the thing. I want to see the weigh-ins because Nam blows up. He got in trouble back in California Commission because he's supposed to fight at 125, which is what he weighs in at. But then he blows up to 146 pounds come fight night. And you're only supposed to be able to go like, I think 10 or 16, like over what you weigh in. So they were like, you can't, like, he's going to have to go to a different weight class, or he's going to have to give us his weight cutting regimen because his ability to pack on the pounds is pretty impressive. So outside of that, I do feel that Azat, he's got the durability, he's got the ground game, the submission game. He is kind of like that Russian backpacking style fighter that also has power in his hands. And I think that it's going to be a little too much for Tyson Nam outside of like the flash KO if he catches the youth in his Bright Lights debut. But give me Azat.
Yeah, if I'm trying to punch holes in it, because I agree with what you say. I do believe that Maksum comes in and shows that he is UFC caliber, like Nurse Sultan did. I don't think this is a case of a guy who's in over his head. I love his ground game. It's really good. I I know I shouldn't take too much away from one fight, but I did watch that Ailin Gabriel fight, and it was pretty good. But it did concern me that he struggled at times on the feet. And you look at Ailin Gabriel. I mean, this is a guy that's lost 4 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that's 2-7 in his last 9 fights. So I'm just wondering how good was that win, actually. But his next fight against Fabricio Nunes just an amazing display on the ground, pulled out a really awesome choke. The guy had no chance once it got on the ground, and pulled out an awesome choke right before. Right before. You talked about Tyson Ham still having the knockout power. That's my worry, is that he does leave himself open on the feet. Azat does. This is not the most crisp striker. He's fine at it, but he's not terrible. He's not great, but he does leave his hands kind of wide open here. And as we saw, in the Odie Osborne fight, that's all Tyson Nam needs is that one shot. I'm with you. Azat is the rightful favorite. I think the odds might be a little bit skewed, a little bit heavy because
I'm just sorry, AD. I'm literally just looking at the odds
right now.
That's crazy.
It is.
That's crazy.
Right now, he's over a minus 400 favorite. So you would have to put it in a parlay piece. So for that reason, because Tyson Nam does have the one shot knockout power, I don't know if this is a parlay piece. I don't know. It's just one of those that may have priced us out of getting involved on it. So, and because it's a Tyson Nam fight, I can't even say, let's take this to start round 2 or anything, just because, anything can happen with a Tyson Nam fight. And
Mm-hmm.
when you got the submission game of Maksum, submissions could come from anywhere. So moving on to the next one, excuse me, Genaro Valdez versus Evan Elder. Evan Elder coming off a really an awesome fight, but a really frustrating loss, for him against Sadykhov. It was a doctor stoppage with one of the sickest cuts above an eye
Deepest.
I've ever seen. Yeah, deepest.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
you could see
you see
his brain,
you could see his
his
thoughts.
thoughts.
Yeah. And but what was crazy was he was fine. He wanted to keep going. It was the ref and the doctor he was beside himself. So it was a really, really good fight. You look at his record. Okay, he's lost 2 to start his UFC career. Okay, he fought Preston Parsons. That's a debut. I'm not going to take too much from a debut. And against Sadykhov, that was just an awesome fight. He was showing such good movement. I loved his lateral movement. He does these ducks to set up his punches. He's tough as hell. I mean, the guy can take a punch. And for that, I really like Evan Elder. It's juicy. It's creeping up closer to minus 300. I do think this is a potential parlay piece. Valdez has nothing that impresses me. He's slower. He's kind of plodding. He doesn't have a whole lot of movement. There's no speed. I can't say that he does anything like exceptionally well. Like, okay, he's a tough guy. He can land shots, but his strikes are just so telegraphed that someone that's as fast as Evan Elder, I think, is not going to have that much trouble moving out of the way. I know Valdez is 10-2. It looks like he's got a pretty good record, but the eye test, when you put up these two, if you put up Valdez's last fight, just played at regular speed versus Elder's last fight at regular speed, and you just put them next to each other, it's just night and day how much better Elder's footwork is and how much crisper his shots are. For that reason, I think it could go to decision because both guys are really tough. I have this marked as a fight to possibly start round 2 because I really don't see Valdez finishing Elder. And Elder's got good power, but Valdez is just so tough. I think this goes for a while, but I think Elder wears him down and ends up winning this one by decision.
I mean, agree 100%. Evan Elder, it's great power, solid kicks to the body. Love the way he moves laterally around his opponent, kind of circles away after he steps in with the strikes and gets out of the power shots. Good body work. Let's see what else. Oh, level changes, front kicks, solid wrestling. I actually thought as the fight went on, he could have won a decision against Sadykhov. He was on his way, the tides were turning. So, I mean, I just think the performance that he put on there and against Valdez, who being a Mexican brawler, he is aggressive. He's kind of sloppy with the striking. He likes to come in with the left-right looping hooks. He does have great cardio, great durability, but he doesn't have the best takedown defense, which is really where I think Elder can shine because he's not going to be going up against somebody like Sadykhov who has fantastic takedown defense to where they had to really keep it on the feet because neither one of them could really get it down to the ground. So I can see a world where, after the second round, Elder just kind of gets it to the ground, keeps it on the ground, does the ground and pound, possibly could get a finish later on with a submission later. I mean, because he does have those on his record. So, but I'm with you 100% in regards to Evan Elder being a solid, pick in regards to this matchup.
Up next, we're going to Melquizael Costa and Austin Lingo. I think this is a pretty good fight. I think it is pretty even enough to where I can say it's a stay away because I just don't have a really strong opinion. Milky, that's his nickname, Milky. What a brutal UFC debut. Last second notice, comes in against Thiago Moises, does okay in the first round, and then eventually just gets pummeled and loses. Going up against Austin Lingo. So Lingo is really tough. He hits hard. He can take a shot. And I'm not overly impressed with Costa striking. It's good. It's not great. I think
it's serviceable.
It's serviceable. I think it will get better. But for purposes of this fight, Lingo leaves himself open. I'm just not sure Costa's the guy to, really, really hand Lingo, that that punishment that his head probably deserves for leaving it so open. I mean, he fights kind of like I don't know. You see the old time movies of the barroom brawls where the guys, kind of stand with their hand like that. Sometimes that's how he stands.
Yeah.
And I think because he's so tough, he's kind of like, it's okay. I can take a shot. I like how hard he hits. He does do damage when he hits. Um, Nate Landwehr really, kind of pieced him up with using the counters and using the jabs. Nate started working him over pretty good, and Lingo eventually does get finished. I just don't think Costa has that. I think Costa has a bit. I think he has the edge with speed and movement, a little bit of creativity. Definitely more creative than Lingo, but power advantage to Lingo, especially in round one. So I just don't like the odds on Costa. I think there's better opportunities in there. So I'm probably just going to stay away from this one. Maybe round two, but even then, I just think this is a complete stay away. There's no value in it.
I would stay away. It is going to be interesting for the pure fact that Costa is dropping down for the first time to 145. He typically fights at 155. So I am interested to see, what the weigh-ins are going to be, because they do size up, at least on paper. There isn't that much of a discrepancy in regards to the height and reach, kind of advantages or disadvantages that one might have over the other. I do like Lingo's pace. I do like his boxing ability. If he starts implementing more of the low calf kicks instead of just being a straight boxer, kind of brawler, then I might be more inclined to give him kind of the lean in this fight, but you don't know. I mean, and Costa, loves to fight, definitely durable, is more well-rounded in regards to the striking game. You know what I'm saying? Like, has the leg kicks, has the body kicks, can go up with the striking. And Lingo's not going to be the man to get it to the ground to submit him. He does have takedowns, and he will do it later on the fight when he does tire to try to gain himself a little bit of breath. But yeah, I mean, I don't like the odds. It's a pass fight for me because I don't know which way it's going to go. And with Costa dropping down to 145, who knows what his cardio is going to be later on. So we'll see. It might be something to do live.
Up next, Estela Nunes and Viktoria Dudakova. You, Nathan, I know, have a pretty strong opinion on this one, so I will let you start.
Yeah, I like Viktoria Dudakova. She was a massive underdog in her Dana White's Contender Series fight. She's a grappler, wrestler, good top pressure, good elbows, ground and pound from the top, strong up against the cage, and she's big for the division. Uses the Windsor trip to sweep opponents off their feet. She's willing to take punches. She's willing to take damage to get to her opponent. Even off her back, she's strong to where she's able to get reversals, take the back, great at transitions, and is able to stay in control in order to, work herself into the submission game. Andy, you knew more about this than I did. I knew that. I thought she injured herself during the fight. You're telling me she went into the fight injured, which is bonkers for the way that she was able to perform. And she's been doing nothing but, 100% rehab, checked out the Instagram, following all that content there, and she's looking good. And I think that up against Nunes, who, if you do anything, this is what you do. You bet the second round. You do a live bet because Nunes comes out there. She's got insane speed. She's got solid power, great footwork. She looks like a world beater in the first round. And then her cardio drops off a cliff. Okay. I mean, she's got good head kicks, good teep kicks, body kicks, throws feints. She's in and out. She throws combos, comes in hard.
And then round two starts.
And then round two. But also I said in my notes, it's like she would get wrecked against a grappler. And then here we have Dudakova, for the reason she hasn't fought in over years because of that knee injury, who isn't afraid to get hit, to get to her opponent and get it down to the ground. And she was able to do what she did as a massive underdog against who I feel like was a solid prospect. And her name's escaping me, but who she fought for Brazil.
Maria Silva was her
Yeah.
last?
I mean,
Maria Silva. Yeah.
She was undefeated. Solid, yeah.
Both were undefeated.
Pretty solid performance. So definitely surprised at Dudakova there. And I think this is just a money in the bank, easy cash.
Wow.
For the Dudakovas. I mean, outside of a Nunes flash, it's dude. And I love getting the live odds in round 2. I think it's going to be. I mean, I would do pre-flop and then during live is how I'm feeling this one. I really like Dudakova in this matchup.
Well, you look at Maria Silva. I mean, she lost to Dudakova. Very next fight wins rear naked chokes. This is the only loss that Maria Silva has. So, yeah, when I was looking up Dudakova, what I found and what I thought was kind of interesting was I watched the fight and I was like, this Dudakova is so slow and there's nothing impressive. And then I was like, wait a minute, how did she get a contract? I mean, that was not well. So, from what I can piece together, I love I don't know. You could point to a bunch of lies in the UFC, but one of them is Dana White saying that he doesn't know anything about the fighters on Contender Series before they come in. Give me a break, Dana. But the story is that they knew Dudakova was hurt, and she fought anyways. And so Dana knew about that, and you know how Dana is. Oh my God, a fighter fighting hurt that goes out there and puts on a show. That's right up Dana's alley. She obviously was undefeated when she came in. She gets the win. They probably knew about the injury, and so they were like, "You get a win on Contender Series by decision over someone like Maria Silva when you have an injury. Yeah, we're signing her." So I think the UFC really sees something special in Dudakova. I don't know how to rate her last performance. I guess now knowing everything, I guess you would say it was a gutty performance, or really courageous, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I am with you though. It's Estela Nunes. No, I mean this is Estela Nunes. It's lost 3 in a row. Estela Nunes is 6-4, so I think this might be Dudakova gives Nunes her 4th loss in a row, and
her walking papers,
and we just don't see Nunes anymore.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like she opened up, Dudakova opened up as a minus 400 favorite, and she's already been bet down to minus 270, something like that, which is great. Keep it coming. Keep the money coming in on Nunes. Nunes, if people are watching tape and all they watch is the first round of Nunes, yeah, of course. I mean, she should be the favorite if all you watch is the first round. But after that, it's a different story. And I really do think that and especially people don't know about the previous injury, her coming in there and fighting.
Oh, if you would watch that tape and not know about an injury, you would be like, what? Who?
Yeah.
Why is this girl getting it? But yeah, interesting points there. All right, next fight we're going to look at is Tucker Lutz and Melsik Baghdasaryan.
It's a good one.
Okay. Well, I'll let you go first because I don't know where you and I stand on this fight. What do you think about this one?
How about this? I'm going to say Melsik unless Lutz wrestles. So for whatever reason, Lutz doesn't like to wrestle, even though he's got like a crazy wrestling pedigree background. He likes to, he switches stance. He's got solid striking. He's got a good get-up game. He loves to throw elbows off the clinch with the breakaway. The only problem, he does leave his leg wide open. Was a massive favorite against Pineda, but Pineda just did what Pineda does as the veteran that he is. And I think he pulled Tucker Lutz into his game plan. And Tucker Lutz just likes to fight, right? Like he just likes to get in there, likes to brawl, likes to dominate his opponent. And it just didn't work on his night. When he does get a takedown, he's got good top pressure. He's got good submission defense, as we saw against the Sean Brady fight, which I think put him on the radar, right? Like no one expected him to actually he came into that fight as a favorite. Sean Brady dominated him. We were on Sean Brady that night, but the fact that he was able to, I guess, defend or keep Sean Brady off the submission game for the entire fight was impressive. Now you got Melsik, who the southpaw aggressive striker, loves to attack the legs, which is going to be a big problem for Tucker Lutz in this. Loves to stalk his opponents and will bum rush opponents once he smells blood. He was winning against the Cutelaba fight until he tripped, fell back, and Cutelaba did this, insane jump on the back, blink of an eye, rear naked submission, got the tap, and that's all she wrote. And I think we were on Melsik in that fight against Cutelaba as well, and it was going our way.
Josh Cooleybow, and yes,
Cooleybow,
we were.
Sorry,
you're fine. Josh Cooleybow, and we were on Melsik, and we were feeling great about our pick.
Yes. Yeah, until the banana peel, as they say. It was an invisible banana that he fell backwards on. and ended up getting submitted. So anyway, I do this one is I lean Melsik. I like his aggression. I think that Tucker Lutz, having already lost 2, might try to if he's smart, he might try to change up his game plan and try to just implement a wrestle heavy approach, which could sap the gas tank of Melsik. And there's a possibility that, he ekes out a decision that way. But if Tucker Lutz is the Tucker Lutz of old and wants to come in there and stand and bang and prove himself, then I think Melsik's going to put a hurting on him. So I'm definitely with the Melsik side if Tucker Lutz hasn't shown any sort of fight IQ or changed wrinkle in his game plan to, based upon the matchup.
So my job, as I see it, is to just bring your confidence level in Melsik up to mine. Because I think this is Melsik. And be honest, I don't think it's close. Tucker Lutz is not very good. He's not very good. Like I hear what you're saying, but that's a lot of ifs. And can he, and if he does this, and you want to talk about difference in like hand speed and kicks on the feet, it's Melsik all day. I don't see how Tucker Lutz can shoot because he's just not nearly as quick as Melsik. I mean, they would have to be like the best shoots and takedown attempts that we've ever seen from Tucker Lutz, because I think Melsik pieces him up on the feet pretty quick. And I think by the end of round 1, Tucker Lutz is not going to have the ability to go for those takedowns, because I think he will have just taken too many jabs. And you brought up the leg kick. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Melsik is going to hunt that leg from the very beginning. Melsik is smart. I love his fight IQ. Coulibao's only loss, I believe, is now to Jalen Turner. That's it. So it's kind of a crazy record, but if that's who Melsik lost to, and it was because of a random, he slips, throws a kick at the same time that Coulibao's throwing a punch, then fine. I think this is actually pretty underpriced. Like I would feel much more confident with Melsik being the price as Azat Maksum over Tyson Nam. Like I think those odds are more reflective of what this fight is. Could be wrong, but I think Melsik is going to be way too much for Tucker Lutz. I've never been a fan of Tucker Lutz. He has not shown me anything. I think I've bet against him in both of his losses, so I'm feeling great. I would love to make this 3 in a row. So I'm hoping that you go back and watch it and you come away going, yeah, I need to be as confident as Andy is.
I think the more, it is one of those things where it's like he came in against Sean Brady. Sean Brady, we knew who Sean Brady was, especially at the time. And is it like, oh, do we give him props for surviving against Sean Brady? And then you saw the Pineda fight where like you have the old man who's got power in his hands.
Do you mean Pat Sabatini?
Or Pat Sabatini? Is that who?
It's Pat Sabatini. I was to say,
my bad. They are one and the same to me. I know they are 2 different people, but I get them mixed up all the time. Because they train out of the same Philadelphia. They're the same, the gym. But yeah, similar style. So Pat Sabatini, yes, the way that he was able to just kind of, I guess, hold off the submission game of Pat Sabatini for 3 rounds was like, oh, well done, sir. And then Daniel Pineda coming in there and just showing him, the ropes of somebody who has, the vast, I guess, experience that Pineda does in the power and the ground game. So yeah, no, I'm you're convinced, you're pulling me there. Yeah, I'm liking what you're putting down. So yeah.
I'll get you there one way or the other. All right, up next, Terrance McKinney and Nazim Sadykhov. Terrance McKinney, interesting career in the UFC so far for McKinney. He's got some highlights and he's got some lowlights. That's for sure. So, what do you think about this fight?
I like Nazim. I mean, just the fact that, he trains with the solid team of Aljamain Sterling. He's got over 100 amateur fights, nasty ground and pound, throws to the body, elbows while on top, and he's not afraid to get creative with the spinning back kicks. let's see. Oh, fantastic takedown defense. Good footwork of getting in and outside of his opponent's range. Got a good solid high guard, which I think is going to play dividends, especially against Terrance McKinney. Great at slipping the strikes. And let's see, went to war with Evan Elder in their debut. If it wasn't for the eye cut, we still think like Elder probably would have put it out. But I think here's the deal. I think his forward pressure is what beats Terrance. Terrance is a great hammer, and what we've learned is that he's a terrible nail. So Terrance will go out there and basically finishes all of his fights or gets finished in all of his fights in the first round. The one time he went to the second round, you saw him gas. You saw him tired. You saw him slow down, and then he gets finished. And I think the same thing happens here. I think that Nazim's seen enough of the game. He's had enough fights and knows how to deal with Terrance McKinney's reach advantage, his speed, as well as his looping shots. I don't think he's going to come in there and get caught as a lot of Terrance McKinney's opponents have. This is a big, in my opinion, step up for Terrance in regards to just the experience that Nazim brings to the table, even though this is going to be what the second fight.
Oh, for Nazim? Yeah,
yes.
I mean, technically he's 8-1 as a pro fighter, which is, I mean, so he fought Evan Elder, and then he won by knockout in the
in round 3 against Ahmad.
Yeah, and I was going to bring that up. This is one thing I really like that I think pushes me towards Nazim is, that big cut he gave Evan Elder. Yeah, we think Elder was winning it, but it was right on the right after the start of round 3. Mm-hmm. So he had the cardio. That was a great fight, a lot of activity, and he still had enough power in the tank to end the fight. I mean, give him credit. He did hit that knee that cut Elder. So I've seen now in his last 2 fights, legit finishing power in the 3rd round. So
he carries it, yeah.
And McKinney doesn't. When McKinney does, he ain't got finishing power outside of round 1. That's it.
That fight against Bafim, like that war that happened in the first round, you could see him just just scared and exhausted in that second round. And that knockout, that double knee knockout, was just 5 months ago, and he face planted.
I have that down here.
So yeah. I don't think I don't think he's taken enough time off, and probably he's done great against the style of opponents that he's had up until this point. And now it's like, hey, it's a put up or shut up moment to where he's really getting into, the more well-rounded fighters. And I think that Nazim is one of those well-rounded fighters that has the cardio and the power to put it on Terrance and to pressure forward. Terrance isn't good off his back foot. I mean, once you start moving him back, he really isn't that great at the counters other than his looping, his looping left hooks. So
up next, we're looking at, well, I do have to add this about the Terrance McKinney fight. There are 3 fights that I think if we wait until the props come out, you should just really pay attention to the fight to not go the distance. This is one of them. Mm-hmm. I think if McKinney's going to win, it's probably going to be in round 1, and then after that, you got a guy that has shown finishing power in round 3 against Terrance McKinney, who just melts. In his only fight he melted when he got out of round 1. So this fight I have marked down as to not go the distance.
That's almost a parlay piece in my eyes. I mean, I don't know what the juice is going to be on it, but
yeah,
I don't see Terrance having the cardio against Nazim.
No way.
To go 3 rounds, and if he's going to catch him, he's going to catch him early. So
the next fight on our list here to go over, Nathan, is another fight that I just think isn't going to go the distance. And of course, it's our guy, Ottman Azaitar versus Francisco Prado. Listen, I know that Prado can make this fight go the distance. I know that. But it's Ottman Azaitar, man. Like, just don't blink. Never been to decision. I mean, he just swings so hard. But with that, he leaves himself wide open to counter shots. That's the downside of throwing with bad intentions like he does. That's exactly how Frivola, put him to sleep in the last fight. He came in, threw as hard as he could. Frevola just hits him when his chin is wide open on a beautiful counter. So I think that's the only way I'm going to play this, or I would recommend to play is to not go the distance. I mean, Prado made his UFC debut against Jamie Malarkey, showed nothing really.
Short notice. Yeah.
I know, and that's why it's like, well, how much can you really take away from that?
Mhm.
Because if you don't know a short notice, you're like, wow, that guy just got pieced up. He got taken down. He looked tired as Malarkey ends up picking him apart on the feet, and then gets takedown in round 3. So, but the other thing, I think the odds tell you the books are a little confused. Prado minus 125, Azaitar plus 105. What is that?
Dude,
That's
dude,
stuck in the
no.
middle.
You go Ottman. It's
I'm
Ottman. It's
okay.
Ottman.
All right.
It's
Okay.
Ottman, period. I don't like Francisco took the fight short notice against Jamie Malarkey. It was way too much, way too soon. He's got a solid left hook and a good calf kick. He does throw teep kicks. He does got a good body shot. None of his fights have gone to the distance except for the one against Malarkey. But he's got zero volume, and all he does is look for the knockout. He's susceptible to a good jab. He's got okay head movement. Like the boxing, the rolling left and right. Does use a Kimura to get off of his back or sweep, and but the only problem is he came from the Samurai Fight promotion. It's not the best promotion in the world. Ottman has fought the much better competition. He hasn't fought since he got KO'd against Frevola, but who isn't? I mean, everybody seems to be getting KO'd by that man. And that was 8 months ago. And before that, he hadn't fought in 2 years. The only thing I see is that he might be a little gun shy to go out there and be the Ottman that everybody knew, which was pretty much finishing everybody in the first round. I mean, he does have the power to go and finish people in the later rounds, as he's done in the past. And he's the much more creative fighter. He's got much more higher volume. I don't believe the Tapali statistics on Francisco and how his reach is. They have him at like something where he had more reach than Malarkey, and Malarkey's got hella long reach. And I just don't see it. So anyway, what I'm saying is that I think that Ottman's got the experience. I think that he's got the volume. I think that they both have equal amounts of power, and Ottman, after coming off that KO, is going to be a little more like he's not going to bulldoze, as his nickname suggests. He's going to kind of probably play it a little slower and just kind of see what he's got, and then piece apart Prado over the course of the fight, and then finish him later in the rounds. So yeah, I do agree that there's definitely finishing ability, and I think it's on the Ottman side. I really like him in this fight. I can't believe that he's an underdog. I mean, when you told me that was I had not checked the odds yet, and that's super surprising to me.
I like Ottman too. My eye just was like, no way this fight goes the distance. So, but I mean, listen, if Ottman wins, it's probably not going the distance. We've seen crazier things happen with distance fights, but yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. There are a couple remind me not to, a couple of cards ago, there was a couple of fights in there that went the distance that nobody thought was going to go the distance. And that's what part of me thinks, that this is one of those that just because the Prado fight, none of them have gone the distance. And then he goes against Jamie Malarkey, a big step up in competition, and it goes to the distance because he can't get off of his back.
Yeah.
Ottman does have good ground and pound. He does have good top pressure. It just,
Azaitar is not going to fight anywhere like Malarkey. Malarkey goes pillow punches and then leaves himself open to get finished by a debutante. But that's neither here nor there.
But it's both undefeated fighters taking their first loss, coming back. So what adjustments have they made? Because they don't want to lose 2 in a row, but somebody's going to lose 2 in a row. So that's that when I always think about like conspiracy or game plan change-ups, like that always comes to mind, because what changes have you made after that first loss? Has it made you hungrier? Have you, decided that, okay, maybe, bum rushing my opponents might not be the best situation. And I just don't think that Prado is that good. I really don't.
I agree. I don't either. I don't.
Looking at his competition, it's just too low volume. All he does is look for the counter punch. He's got crazy power in his hands, but once you step up to the UFC, I mean, it's night and day. And I think we're going to see that again. I think that he's going to be shown again that there's levels to this game, and he should probably have come in a lot lower than his first opponent and definitely his second opponent. So I'm on Ottman.
Up next, Norma Dumont and Chelsea Chandler. Chelsea Chandler 5-1. Norma Dumont 9-2. Nathan, that doesn't really seem like a fight that is up your alley for you having a really strong opinion on it. Do you have a strong opinion on this fight or nothing?
It's for me, it's a stay away. I mean, Dumont's had the plethora of experience. I like her. I mean, her fight against Rosa was really good in regards to like a Rosa wasn't able to get her to the ground. She's got good hand speed, I guess you could say. Good up against the cage wrestling. She's just kind of like a good kind of brawler. And then you got Chelsea Chandler, who is a bully, who has got insane. She's slow and plotting, but she's got real power in her hands. Like that's the thing, though. She's got serious power in her hands and like serious ground and pound. I just don't know if it's going to be enough against Dumont, who I think is faster of the two and has the better cage work. So I'm going to edge it to Dumont, but it's for me. I don't know what, I've seen crazier things happen.
Yeah, this to me is Dumont. I very, very confidently, like you said, Chandler. I said brawler. Not afraid to go to the ground, and that there were a lot of questions I had in her fight against Stoliarenko. I mean, she gets the win. She bullied Stoliarenko. She stayed out of arm bars and all that, but she just used brute force and power to overwhelm. Gets the finish at the end. However, here's the thing. She was tired at the end of the first round. Like, good thing she did get the finish because she was breathing heavy. Mm-hmm. Her style is not clean at all. Like, she just doesn't even have a stance. Like, it's so sloppy. It's just a swinging for the fences, pushing forward, and Dumont 5-2 in the UFC. Her losses was a debut and her very first debut fight. Mm-hmm. And then a split decision in 2020 to Macy Chiasson. Norma Dumont is a professional fighter who knows how to move in and out, stick and move, who has all of the fundamentals down to a T. Chandler is a bit of a mess with how she fights. But she's gotten away with it because she's just been fighting women that she can overwhelm, who aren't as experienced, who get a little nervous. And then, we know Stoliarenko's game. She goes for a submission. If she doesn't get it, forget about it. So it was the perfect opponent.
Well, she was also a last-minute replacement. Like, Chandler was not supposed to fight her.
No.
She was supposed to fight, I think, Dumont, or she's been scheduled to fight Dumont in the past. The fight's been canceled, and they're finally doing it. But, yeah, no, I agree. Like, she came in and...
Yeah, and she put on her, but listen, look at Stoliarenko there. Like, one win, and it was an arm bar, but then she's lost the 4 other fights around it. So it worked out great for Chelsea Chandler. And Dumont, all she has to do is weather that first storm. And Chandler's so sloppy that she does use up a ton of energy. And that can work against some. It ain't going to work against Norma Dumont. Norma Dumont is just going to be patient, use her fundamentals. Chandler's probably going to come in way too hard, way too fast. And Dumont's going to end up pushing Chandler against the fence and show her how proper clinch work is. Chandler will do whatever she can to get out of there, try and land and then she's just going to be will have no cardio in rounds 2 or 3. So I like Norma Dumont a lot to win. I would even look at Norma Dumont inside the distance because I think Chandler is going to get so tired in that first round. It's going to be one of those where Dumont smells blood, and this is a great chance to get a little highlight knockout. So I think Chandler's in a bit of trouble on this one. I had a few. I had one other big. I had one other big hole in Chelsea Chandler's game, but I don't know if this is the. Well, can I just say it?
Are you talking about her? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about her clothing not fitting.
Oh yeah, no, she's
I have this weird
top
theory.
heavy.
I
Yeah.
have this weird theory that if I see a fighter that can't get their attire, their ring gear properly on
Mhm.
and with the proper amount of support, I have a lot of questions about the camp and attention to detail, because if they didn't fix her ring attire from last fight to this fight, it's gonna keep getting worse and worse and worse. So was that where you were going, or did you know I was
Yeah, no,
going there?
I knew you were going there. I feel the same way. I mean, she is out of the Stockton camp, right? She trains with the Diaz brothers and all that. So it's just kind of the thing is you don't know. Like I was trying to track her on. You could track her on Facebook better than you could track her on Instagram. Instagram, she's got nothing, but Facebook, she seems to post on. And
Hmm.
but you don't see any like stuff of her, what like type of physical condition she's in, right? Like zero. So anyway, no, I agree. Dumont, a wealth of experience, has really proven herself in her most recent fights, and she just continues to get better. I mean, she's, like, I think her style is going to be a good matchup against Chandler in the fact that she's going to have the speed, have the striking, have the cage work. The only thing that worries me is just the power, like if she's able to get the Windsor trip, and just her power, that Chandler possesses is the only issue I have. But the odds kind of reflect, I do agree that Dumont should be a bigger favorite than -150 right now.
It's crazy.
I think that's,
This woman's 5-2 in the UFC.
and money keeps coming in on Chandler. Like this.
This is not an aging veteran at the end of her career,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but I just think it's so disrespectful to how talented Norma Dumont is. Is Dumont going to win a world title? Probably not.
Yeah.
But is
She just
she?
fought 3 months ago. She's been so active. I mean, it's been like over a year, not a year, but it was the end of October of 2022 is when Chandler last fought. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Walt Harris and Josh Parisian. Nathan, you said you didn't really look that much into this fight. I got
No.
to tell you,
Nope.
I don't think we need to look that much into it. What are your initial thoughts on this one?
Fight doesn't go the distance, I guess is going to be
On to
that
the
is
next
going to
fight.
be, that's all it is. Walt Harris, what have you been doing? Why are you back? And then, I mean, you're talking about Josh Parisian, who's actually fought some solid competition and is doing his win-loss combo. So he's due for a win because he just came off of a loss. So if you're thinking MMA math, it's Josh Parisian.
It's just like Walt Harris has had one fight in his entire career go to the distance, and that was against Mr. Decision, Andrei Arlovsky, who can just get any human being on the planet to go to decision.
Somehow.
And then that play or that fight ended up being ruled a no play, a no contest. So actually, on the record, Walt Harris has never been to a decision. Listen, we know Walt's deal. Towards the big ticket was the big tired, and so now he's 40 years old. So
I really think this year of 2023 and the end of 2022, but definitely this year is the year of just retirement. Like all these older, I mean, like it's a thing now, right? Like they've got to get their last fight in where they can actually say, "I'm done." Like I'm hanging
that
up the
has to be
gloves.
what's going on here.
It
right?
has to be because it's just like he hasn't fought since
2021
21, and he's 40.
and lost in round 2, lost in round 2, lost in round 1. It's not like it's not like it's going to get better.
And this isn't a last minute replay. I was like, is this a last minute replacement? Is he just coming in off the street? Like no, he's known about this. So he wants that retirement money or something. I don't know. I don't know if there's a purse bonus for saying that, you're taking the gloves off or something, but
yeah. So I have this as the number one fight will not go the distance. What did we talk about? The Azaitar fight, not to go the distance, and the Terrance McKinney, Nazim Sadykhov. I think those 3 fights will not go the distance. I think those are really good parlay pieces. So take that for what it's worth. Junyoung Park and Albert Duryev. Spoiler, I just am not going to have strong opinions on these next two fights. These are tough. Duryev and Junyoung Park. We did talk about this one. Nathan and I did. Junyoung Park, he just got a low ceiling in the UFC, but he just does all the little things right. Like if his opponent is not good on the ground, he'll get him to the ground somehow, work it methodically into a choke like he did in the last fight. If his opponent is really weak with strikes, he can stand there and piece him up with jabs and everything. He's not the most athletic guy. Pretty decent cardio and energy, but it's just a low ceiling here. But he's going up against Albert Duryev. I like how Duryev fought in his last fight. I think what Duryev did show he probably has the advantage of is just kind of the power in the 3rd round, because I do think this fight, I think these guys are really equal, and it could make it the 3rd round where I just trust Duryev to have a little bit more energy and a little bit more power behind his strikes. I give the on the ground to Junyoung Park. I think he's just shown, the better ground game and the ability to finish. But in the end, I'm not going to play anything on this one. I can't get passionate about an over or under. I can't get passionate about one of the fighters from a betting perspective. So I think it's a pretty close fight, but this is a no bet for me.
I'm going to say it definitely goes over, and I'm going to pick Albert.
Okay.
Duryev. And the reason being is because you look back at, I was looking at like statistics, and I was like, okay, what's his takedown? What's the Turtles' takedown defense? It's 70%. That's insane. Like, that's really good. And then I looked at his opponents, and I'm like, Dennis Taludlin, Joseph Holmes, Eric Anders. He lost against Gregory Rodriguez. Okay. He's, like Tefon and Chuku, John Phillips, Marc-Andre Barriault. Like Anthony Hernandez. That was his other loss, where he got anaconda choked out in round 2. And I think that Durayev's that grapple heavy, consistent, nonstop, like backpacking, like up against the cage, like that's where I think that Durayev's going to eke out the win. I don't think that he finishes Junyoung Park, because we all know how tough he is. But I can see it being one of those absolutely, I mean, for lack of a better term, kind of like boring fights.
Oh,
where
Duryev
is just spamming takedowns, spamming cage control, spamming the legs, getting it down. Junyoung Park keeps getting up, but it's in the judge's eyes, the fact that he can't get Durayev off of him for the majority of the fight. I feel like Durayev's going to win the decision.
Nice. Yeah, I think you and I are in the same agreement. We just can't totally pick a side. If you made me pick, I would say Albert. If you made me, but you're not making me. So
no, I'm not.
All right, let's get to the main event. But first, real quick, guys, all of our plays can be found on wagertalk.com. MLB, we've got lacrosse, Formula One, golf, all the sports, especially the summer when some of the other sports have stopped going. We're coming up on MLB break. It's this week, but we still have sports going to build those bankrolls. So go grab those at wagertalk.com. And let's get to the final fight. Holly Holm against Mayra Bueno Silva. All right, so we know the deal. Holly Holm, she's older, almost 42. You know she's like, I got one more run. I just got one more run at maybe a title. She loves point fighting now in her career. She sticks and moves, adds up those points, and then it's so annoying if you bet against her, but if you bet on her, you just love it. She just knows how to win rounds right there at the end. She knows how important winning the last 30 seconds of a round is. Like if a round is really, really close and you can push up against the fence and clinch some knees that don't even really land, but it just looks better in 30 seconds, Holly Holm can do that. if a round's close and she can get a takedown under a minute, she's going to do that. Like she's the master at it. She's awesome at it. Problem, Bueno Silva, I think her punches are just going to be a lot more. They're going to do a lot more damage than Holly Holmes are. So I think if judges are looking at damage, if Silva can walk down Holm, we know how active Holm is on the feet. So I think that's Silva's biggest problem and biggest issue with this fight is can she end up close enough to do damage on Holly Holm? I think she can. I think Holm is going to be really nervous about trying to take Silva down to the ground to try and win those rounds. I mean, Silva's got an arm bar and a knee bar finish. You would feel really bad. You'd feel really dumb if you took someone down and got finished when you're just trying to steal a round. So, and I also think Silva's got good enough clinch game that she's just not going to stand there and let Holly Holm, tee off on her. Of course, my biggest question is Silva. She's shown a lot of immaturity during her fights. She's mocked opponents before. Her skill set's awesome, though.
Well, she what? I don't know what it is about her, where she leans her face forward, mocks her opponent, and then somehow she wins decisions. It's the more I think about it, the more I think Holly Holm's going to have a brain fart to lose this fight.
Oh, really? Okay. So you're right, man. Fight IQ, we've seen it cost fighters big time just recently. I mean, I know it's always a thing, but just recently you're like, wow, that guy lost a fight because he's a dumbass.
Holly Holmes is not going to fall for Bueno Silva's style, right? That the egging on. She's going to be the one keying. If it's going to be a distance game, Holly Holmes has the reach advantage. Holly Holm has the reach advantage. Holly Holm has the height advantage. She's just going to karate point and key herself to a decision if it just stays in space. If it goes up against the cage, Holly Holm is got the highest fight IQ of any female fighter I think I've seen. Just the way in which she's able to win fights based upon her opponent's deficiencies. So I don't see her taking Bueno Silva to the ground. I see her getting her up against the cage in a clinch, wearing her down, poking at her, or if it stays in space, she just, teep kicks her, kind of jab, moves away. Her thing where she just is on her bike and just keeps swaying left and right out of, and Bueno Silva is going to mock her and try to get her and goad her into this fight. And Holly Holmes is like, I'm 41 years old. No, we're not going to for it. Playing this game. This is my last chance of getting a belt shot. So, I mean, outside of it, in the first round, if they clinch up and it gets to the ground and Bueno Silva is able to, do a trip, I think that there's some danger there on the ground. I think that Holly Holmes does have it on the feet. I do think she has it up against the cage, and she's shown time and time again that she's just whatever game plan her and her camp puts together against her opponents seems to work. And so I'll end up after thinking about it. I'll the home side is how I'm leaning on this.
If you're asking me to pick. If I have to pick a winner, it's going to be Holly Holm because I know she's not going to screw up. She's not going to make that dumb mistake.
Yeah.
She just isn't, especially not against Silva. I will guarantee Silva makes at least one dumb move where you're like, oh, what are you doing there? So right now you can get Holly Holm. She's around minus 170, so you can grab her there. I actually could see money coming in on Silva. I could see during the week people like, really, 42-year-old Holm? No, Silva's the next generation. This is the passing of the guard. Maybe it is, but if you want to get
pulling it out, I mean, she pulled it out against Stephanie Egger. She pulled it out, this Yanan Wu. I mean, because she lost against Faro, and I don't know, she's been going at it for a while now here in the UFC, but
well, I think we both like Holly Holm. And listen, if you are going to take Holly Holm, just take her by points. She ain't knocking out Silva. She's not finishing Silva. So if you want to wait, you probably get a better price later in the week on that one. So let's do a little recap here. Ashlee Evans-Smith and Ailin Perez. I like Ailin Perez a lot more than Nathan does. Carl Deaton and Alex Munoz. I think probably our strongest lean at this point in the week.
Yeah.
A lot can change, but Alex Munoz over Deaton, Tyson Nam, and Azat Maksum. I think we both like Azat, but the price is a little bit out of control.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's maybe a lot out of control. Valdez versus Evan Elder. We both like Evan Elder in that one. Austin Lingo and Costa. I think it's pretty close. It's kind of a stay away type of fight. Estela Nunes and Viktoria Dudakova. We both like Dudakova, especially after Nunes gasses after the first. Tucker Lutz and Melsik Baghdasaryan. I love Melsik, and I'm trying to convince Nathan to love Melsik.
I'm leaning Melsik. I'm not as gung-ho, but yeah.
Terrance, McKinney, Nazim, Sadykhov. We both like Sadykhov, but we also think to not go the distance would be a good play in this one. Ottman, Azaitar, and Francisco Prado. We both like Azaitar, but this is also another one. Do not go the distance. You can put that with McKinney and Sadykhov. Norma Dumont, Chelsea Chandler. The final fight that I am trying to get Nathan as confident as in my side. I love Dumont in this one as Chelsea Chandler is just too much of a wild card and a brawler, and Dumont is going to gas her after the first round. Speaking of gassing after the first round, Walt Harris and Josh Parisian. This has got to be the number one does not go the distance fight on there. I don't even know if we talked about it. I mean, Josh Parisian, Nathan, could you pull the trigger on him? I absolutely could as the underdog here.
Wait, he's the underdog?
Parisian's the underdog. Walt Harris is a little bit of a sizable favorite.
Wow.
I'm stunned too. I thought it would be Parisian, but it's.
I mean, he did lose against Pogues, so that's probably why. And he did lose against Don't Tell Mays, which is just, and Parker Porter.
Oh, it's terrible. It's
but
awful.
It's he's got that win-loss thing going on.
It's 40-year-old Walt Harris.
Dude, it's 40-year-old Walt Harris. Just fight doesn't go the distance. Let's not overthink this one. Albert Duriev and Jung-Yoon Park. We both like Albert to win in this one, but we think this could potentially be a pretty boring fight. They're both pretty equal. And then Holly Holm, Mayra Bueno Silva. We both kind of like the Holly Holm. If you are looking for the best fight to start round 2, it's always the Holly Holm fight. It just Holly Holm fight will start round 2. So I think we have two pretty good captains here. Walt Harris, captain of the Fight Does Not Go the Distance club, and Holly Holm fight to start round 2. So love it.
Yeah, weird card. We will be on Takedown on our YouTube channel, Takedown Live, watching the fights live, doing some live betting. So join us over there. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Yeah,
it's going to be a fun card. Sometimes these weird, like you don't know the fighters, end up being really fun. So hope they are. Let's make it a profitable one. Good luck. We'll see you guys on Saturday.
Later.